I know there are so many people. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys.
Hey.
We're live. So thank you guys for all coming. This is the first of hopefully what will be many open source Block Explorer Now conversations. So the goal of this first one is just to keep it really easy and light, not a whole lot, a little bit of structure, but mostly it's about intros, project descriptions, scope, and status of the project, right? The only questions I hope that we have answered by the end of this is what are your needs and how do we best collaborate? I'm going to facilitate the discussion, but we have a lot of people here, so we should probably try to keep it succinct and try to get through everybody fast so everyone has a chance to talk. So let's just start with a quick intro round. What is your name? Who do you work for? What are you working on? And do you have any intentions for this call? So I'll start. I'm Griff Green. I work for Giveth and the White Hat Group because I'm representing today. And I'm working on Giveth and just helping everyone coordinate things. And my intention is for everyone to get to know each other and love each other. So let's go with Aldo.
Thank you, Griff. As you said, I'm Aldo. I think I'm hearing my voice. Maybe it's someone with the speakers or okay. No, it's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Aldo. I'm mostly an Android developer, but also as backend as well. I collaborate with Ubiq. I'm as a core there. So mostly my intention for this call is to try to discuss a basic infrastructure to build things on the Ethereum ecosystem or Ubiq ecosystem as well. Yeah, so I created for this I created an open source Infura clone which is called Shokku. Let's discuss it later.
Okay, how about Andrew?
My name is Andrew Cravino. I work for POA Network. I am the project manager for the open source Block Explorer. And I'm just really interested to hear everybody's thoughts on what we're doing and how we can work together.
Okay, Jordi.
Well, I'm Jordi Bailina. I'm one of the White Hat work also for Giveth and for many other projects. And I'm very interested in the open source Block Explorer because it's something that a lot of people in the space needed, and especially the White Hat group that needs to analyze a lot of times, and it's one of the most important tools that we have in the space when we have to analyze and see what's going on in the chain.
Okay, how about Igor?
Hi guys, I am Igor from POA Network. So for us, we're a sidechain, right? So for us, full-featured blockchain explorer is a question of life and death, right? Because if we cannot have a full-featured explorer, what's the purpose of sidechain for developers, right? And I see the same problem for many projects, and there are forks like Classic, right? There are sidechains like Rootstock, Ubiq, POA, GovChain, OneChain, all these new chains. There are private blockchains, and while I worked as a consultant, I built tens of blockchains, and I think there are hundreds and thousands of blockchains for private usage. And all of them struggle from kind of the same problem, right?
Just an intro, Igor. Just an intro, man. Sorry. We got to keep going. Do you have any intentions for this call, though?
Yeah, we allocated lots of resources for open source blockchain Explorer, and we have a clear roadmap for up to the end of the year, and would like our Explorer to be used by other projects. So we are very friendly and open to collaboration with, let's say, competitors, right, in this space. So that's because we're not competing with each other. We're competing for Ethereum ecosystem, right, against other ecosystems.
Okay, cool. And Kosala?
Hey guys, this is Kasala from MyEtherWallet, and I've been working on open source blockchain explorer for a while. It's called EthVM, and it's open now. It's it's public. You guys can go ahead and download it and give it a shot. And so yeah, Griff has been bugging me to complete this project for a while now. So I think we're at the point where we can like finally complete it with all this like bringing it together, like all this, everyone in this call plus everyone else who wants to help each other. And I think that's what's most important.
Nice. And then to finish it off, Luke.
Yeah, I'm Luke Williams. I'm one of the Ubiq core developers. And before Ubiq, I wrote Icarus Explorer, a popular open source block explorer for Bitcoin-based blockchains. And I also wrote Ubiq Scan, the Ubiq main Ubiq block explorer. It's currently being used. So yeah, mostly I just like to sort of with the call, just find ways for us all to collaborate. Doesn't make a lot of sense for us all to be working on our own separate explorers and code when we could all sort of combine forces and work on one kick-ass code base.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Okay, so let's get a quick understanding of each project. So we'll start with POA Network. I have notes that you guys all I know have access to, but I'll say what I'm hoping to get you guys to say. Basically, what stack are you using? What's the scope of your project? Is it open source yet? Are you taking contributors? Where do you guys hang out? Where's your GitHub? These kinds of things. So POA Network, you guys want to start?
And Andrew, if you would like, you can start and I will continue. Okay.
Sure. So our stack is currently Erlang, Elixir, Postgres, and Phoenix framework. You can find us at github.com/POA Network. And our goal is to have basically a replica of Etherscan with full developer tools, full transaction download history, and then the typical Etherchain light type of block explorer. We'll be supporting all tokens, including ERC20, ERC721, and ERC725. So that's basically the scope of our project. Yeah, so we're looking to collaborate with everybody in the space and see where we can go from there.
And where are you guys at in the project? Like, how far are you along? What do you have?
Sure. So we will be releasing basically up to Etherchain Lite, which is by Q2 2018. Our Etherscan, we'll be at Etherscan by late Q2, early Q3. And we'll be taking pull requests from the community by late Q4, somewhere in that time range.
Very cool. Do you have anything to add, Igor?
Yeah, but stop me when you think that I should stop, because usually I cannot stop myself. Yeah, so we when we think about who we are and what we're doing and why we are here, we're about community, right? And we're a long time in Ethereum space, like many people here. And we're basically struggling with our current state of our Explorer, so that we decided to have this Explorer one of our main projects, and we think it will help us like unite all these side chains and bring this what I think, like, what are cornerstones which do not allow side chains to thrive and to be used as a production platform for tokens. I think there is like Infura, that type of problems when you don't have an open source version of Infura. But now, thanks to Ubiq, we have something here. Second is MetaMask, and we discussed in our chat that MetaMask is not friendly to sidechains, unfortunately. Third is Explorer. So when we have all these three tools, open source and usable by any sidechains, and we have bridging solution between sidechains, it means that we can scale our ecosystem very, very easily with so many different ways, and we'll have what I think is like a crypto singularity, right? Because it will bring sidechains to be on par with Foundation network, and yeah, so many innovations, so many interesting minds around. I'd like to describe a little bit about our stack. We decided to use Elixir, which is kind of new stack for Ethereum, because we. So first of all, we think that there are some resources which are can be used for development, and these resources are suitable for this type of project, right? So we allocated several very high-profile web development teams like Dockyard and Gaslight, which are one of the best studios for Elixir development. So Dockyard and Gaslight will work on this project. So we signed a contract with them, and also they will contribute fully to open source. So their work will be open source. We do not plan to have any private repositories for this project, and we're in the process of signing a contract with Platform Tech, who are creators of Elixir. So basically, on this project, we will have a creator of Elixir as our consultant, and a creator of Phoenix framework, which is like Express framework for Node.js, and it's like Ruby on Rails for Ruby. So this is exciting that we can allocate this think tanks in this space. And this is like one reason. Second is Elixir and Erlang is created for distributed applications. Doesn't mean decentralized, but for distributed applications, they are very fault tolerant. They have very exciting virtual machine, which can be used for this type of project. Itself, Elixir is quite easy to learn. It's basically like it's like a Ruby on Rails language, so that's or JavaScript in terms of learning curve, and there are lots of developers from the space of Ruby who are joining this framework. So we have access to talents, which is good. And you all know how hard it is to bring let's say blockchain developers from other projects to your projects, right? Because it's very competitive market, and not many resources for us to get people from other projects, right? So I think that it's better to bring outside resources to our ecosystem, and I hope we will see lots of Elixir innovations in this space.
Yeah.
So we, yeah. So what? What?
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we have a clear roadmap on our GitHub repository about 70 issues created, spread across 3 teams, and we have we actually have a weekly demo and retro, and I think we can collaborate here to anyone who'd like to join our demo retro on Fridays. We can make it public, and well, this is one part which we want to start with. Okay, we are going to accept contributions and people who are interested in the project as soon as these people will be interested, right? Because we're a community-driven project. Yeah, so super excited to work on this type of thing, and I really enjoy that someone else can use it, and I don't think we're like competitors here. We know the same boat, and yeah, we need to work together.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. That was really good. If you guys can add, you mentioned a lot of links. If you can add the links to our document, so I can add it to the video afterwards, that'd be awesome. And that goes for everyone else. But next, what?
Yeah, Andrew, please add. Okay.
Yeah, and Ubiq. Let's go with Ubiq next. So basically, what stack are you guys using for your Explorer?
Right, yeah. So our current Explorer I use we call the code base Spectrum. The backend is Node.js and MongoDB, and the front end at the moment is just plain jQuery. So it's a little bit slow. So they've did have a fairly large rewrite for that using Vuejs planned, but I guess that depends on how this discussion goes, whether that will still be on the table or not. Yeah, so that's pretty much a stack. And it's not currently open source, but it either will be or will be working on a new code base with everyone here, depending on how things go. And yeah, so you can see that ubicscan.io. Functionality-wise, it's fairly basic at the moment. More useful just base functionality, so you're viewing blocks, transactions, as token support, yeah, it was mostly just sort of written out of necessity due to the sort of lack of options as far as open source block explorers for Ethereum went. So it's sort of been improving in functionality over time as more projects on Ubiq sort of required new things, but it's still fairly basic.
Cool. And Aldo, did you have something to add?
Yeah, basically I created Shokku with its, I believe it's like an Infura clone, but as I'm developing more the project, I believe that as is based basically in Kubernetes or in a microservices way, I think it could host more potential to add more operations for indexing and more things. So basically the API is the same as Infura one, and from there we can expand it. So that's my main goal, to try to create a powerful backend.
Very cool, very cool. I mean, open source Infura was quite the task, man. Nice work.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess this moves us to MyEtherWallet. I'm excited to hear the updates from Kosala. You have the document, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
you know what I'm trying to get out of you.
Yeah. So initially, when I first started, I saw like a whole bunch of problems with the current blockchain explorers. Meaning, especially like the ones where, I hate refreshing the page. So that's one main thing. So like if you have a pending transaction and you have to constantly refresh. It got better since I first saw it. So now like, yeah, it'll display, like it'll show you whether the transaction went through or not, like all those things. Plus, again, now even on the main chain, like you have to wait 14 seconds or so to see whether like the transaction actually went through or not. So like that's another thing, another issue I wanted to resolve, because you can always, if you have a backend, you can always process the transaction immediately with the current state and let the user know whether the transaction went through or not immediately while the block is still pending. So the transaction is not technically included, but you can still let the user know immediately. So things like that, like instant gratification. So another one was like on homepage, I didn't want to refresh the page where like to see whether there was a new block, and like and the hash rate changes and like the ETH value changes, all those things. So that's why I wanted to do it in a way that like it's event driven since the beginning. So that's why I use the database RethinkDB, which is really cool. It's like real-time database that lets you set up certain events. So whenever there's a new block, you can do something. Whenever there's a new transaction, you can do something. That's why I use RethinkDB, and then I went to Socket.io for WebSockets because I wanted to have real-time communication back and forth. So right now the backend the database is getting populated through Geth, custom, or like not a custom, but like a modified version of Geth, written in Go language, and that's what connects to the RethinkDB and populates all the data, including internal transactions, like new transactions. It's processed them as they come in. All the pending transactions get processed as they come in, and all the new blocks get processed as they come in. So like if you see it on the web page, the time it takes is from a new block to actually come into the network, and that block is getting displayed on EthVM is somewhere around like less than a second sometimes. Sometimes it's like less than 2 seconds, but it's pretty close. So people can know immediately that, oh, there was a new block. oh, like my transaction actually is gonna go through or not. So mostly that the real-time aspect that we are missing, that's what I wanted to tackle. And right now it's at a level where it can display all the block information, transaction information. Even the account is almost done, but like still I'm at a level where I have to finish like account specific transactions and account specific internal transactions. And I'm at a level where I'm figuring out what's the best way to display the token balances and support all these different token standards. That's when I was thinking of like actually writing a smart contract that can serialize all the token balance data and then send it back to a backend where it can cache for like certain number of seconds before it recaches it. So I'm at that level right now. So I would say it's somewhere around 75 to 80% done. But yeah, but like now I'm a little bit busy, so I cannot put like my full strength into like EthVM. That's when I was talking with Geth, I was like, hey, do you know any developers? I need developers. So yeah, that's where I am right now. And so the backend, the database is RethinkDB. The code is getting populated, the data is getting populated through a modified version of Geth, and using custom WebSocket server, which is very stateless, so you can scale it any number of times and it'll still work. And the front end is done in Vuejs, so which is getting a lot of popularity within the, it's like the third best framework right now next to React and Angular. But I'm in love with Vuejs. So
cool. And is there? You said you need developers. Is there a place where they should go? Is it the GitHub, or where should they?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, GitHub will be fine, but like they can also apply to jobs at myetherwallet.com. And the main requirement I see is them knowing Go, and Ethereum experience is like, you know, that'll bring them top of the line. But even without Ethereum experience, I can teach them what exactly needs to be done. So Go and JavaScript are like my main.
And the GitHub repo is ENKRYPTIO. So encrypt.io. Okay, with a K. It's very difficult to, but now I'm curious to hear feedback from Jordi on any thoughts he had as an observer here.
Yeah. Well, first, I would like to hear very much, for example, one of the critical things is how long it takes, for example, to synchronize a full chain. Just pass the chain to the database. That's one of the things that I think it's important, and this is one of the matters that Kosala already talked about his transactions, which is something that's very needed, especially when you are, when you are going a little to do real analysis on that, which is cool. One of my things that I think it's possible, I think that this comment, I already comment that with some of you, but I think it's important, is to make this block explorer modular. So understanding as a very basic block explorer where you have transactions, events, blocks, and not much more. And on top of that, start putting applications that you need to really do block explorer. For example, the first application for me would be tokens. I know that a lot of explorers already integrate the tokens like in the core, but tokens at the end is just, for me, it's just one application. Maybe the top of this can be CryptoKitties or assets, or I don't know, of Giveth donations, or I don't know, or publications on any. So any dApp, you can understand that any dApp in the future will need their block explorer. They will, and it would be cool that an open source block explorer be able to build on top of the block explorer different models that are able to read from the database and create like a new database that can be displayed easily in the UI. I don't know about your thoughts about that, but if for real dApps,
well, let's hear them. Let's hear their thoughts. What do you think, Kosala? You look
that's a great point that you brought up. It's like the way I think of it as is like kind of making MySpace, where you can let the user edit certain aspects of the page. Let's say the transaction is going to CryptoKitties contract, right? Now the CryptoKitties can do a PR where they can like set that specific page, like get the to address and then define specific page in certain ways so that, okay, it can show the kitty they're getting, or like it can show any other information, or it can show like all those information based on the data field. So pretty much like letting the user or letting the application customize that specific page or their account page. So they can send a PR, or they can do like they can give us the information we need to know from them, and then we can customize it based on their input. You see where I'm getting at? So like I want to make it more customizable by the user. So people, in essence, individual user can have their own custom account page. So when they go, they can show, oh, this is the Giveth page. It's just now like just Identicon and then Giveth.io or like MyEtherWallet donations. I want to take it to like not let the next level where they can have their own own custom account page. Plus, all these transactions can have custom information, like I said, the CryptoKitties example or the ENS example, where they can we can get the hash and then figure out what the domain name it's going to, or the name they're buying, and then customize the page based on that.
And Andrew, what do you think? I saw you unmute.
Sure. So first, I'll cover the downloading of the blockchain. For us, we've actually developed 2 states of our workers. So there's actually the downloading of the blockchain, and our goal is to have it 4 hours for Ethereum mainnet, which is pretty good. But we're working on specifically for the 2 states, and then once we're at current block height, then the workers will concentrate on real-time indexing of the blockchain. Secondly, so we have some great ideas behind the different aspects of the blockchain, and having dApps being built, could be built right on top of the Explorer. So for us, we have our identity at stake 2nd layer consensus algorithm. So we plan on building these on top of our the open source block explorer. So other developers will be able to take a look at what we're doing with this aspect of it, and be able to do the same thing in that manner. And that's just one example. Others would be like using our bridges. So we'll have basically custom code for the bridges, how they interact with themselves, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a great idea, and it's something we're definitely looking at.
Okay. I am curious to hear just the answer to one more question from each of you before we have completely free discussion. I just want to know, what are your biggest needs, and how can we collaborate the most effectively? So let's go with Aldo first. What are the biggest needs, and how can we collaborate?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should try to narrow more or less, or define, well, we have 2 separate things. One is the front end, another thing is the back end. So basically we should choose which language is going to be for the back end. And also, as I think is more or less based in a microservices way, we currently have Kubernetes, which allows to create or scale things very nicely. And I don't know, I mean, for me, that's the key point to decide which technologies we are going to use. It doesn't matter, we don't have to agree to, I mean, I don't have any problem to use Erlang or whatever as base project, as long as we keep the core in a microservices way, so we can interoperate. Like kind of, I don't know if you know the Monzo Bank. It's a very well-known bank that started their business like 3 years ago, and they built their whole bank ecosystem in a microservices way. So I believe that for this project, it should be a necessity to do it in that way.
Cool. Igor, what do you think the biggest needs are, and how do we collaborate the most effectively?
A good question. Yeah, we'll think about it. For us, so we have a clear roadmap, right, for what we are doing and how to collaborate with other teams. I think we need to review links that teams will post in this doc file. I support that. I support the idea of the decouple of maybe some pieces of this Explorer, and we're doing the same way. So we have workers to get data from blockchain, and obviously we'll have some microservice for smart contract verifications, and it's also good for distributing work across teams. So this is important, not only from manageability of code, but also manageability of project, right? Because if you can split a whole project into pieces, which will be, let's say, microservices, then you can distribute them across teams, and well, in ideal world, you can combine them all together, but you know. Yeah, I worked a lot with microservices architecture and with Golang before, so that's I know pros and cons. But yeah, let's hope that we can find a way how we can split this work across teams. For us now, this is a good time to learn about other projects and suggest from our side, you know, how can you be beneficial and how can we be beneficial for you guys. Yeah, so that's my point. We should work together. We need to find this way of working together.
Nice. Yeah. Let's go with Luke. What do you think? What are the biggest needs, and how do we collaborate effectively? Oh,
Unmute myself there. Yeah, so Explorer's the biggest needs in space, and obviously something that's modular and supports multiple chains with detailed contract support, and so that's I guess where Ubiq scan is lacking at the moment. It's good. Transactions, blocks, and tokens and stuff, no problem, but the contract functionality is still fairly limited. And yeah, just being very modular, maybe some sort of plugin framework so it's easy to add custom code without having to edit sort of main code base if need be for sort of specific projects with different needs. And scalability is obviously a huge one. It can be quite mind-boggling how much traffic an Explorer gets. It's generally a lot more than one would expect. You've got services pulling from it constantly, making requests, obviously users as well. And yeah, so yeah, that's most of it. And
how do you think the best way we collaborate? Like, how do you expect Ubiq to collaborate with other teams? And
well, yeah, we're very open to collaboration. I mean, we're not like set on using our code base or anything. We're happy to go with sort of whatever makes the most sense. And yeah, so it's just a matter of deciding on the technologies that everyone sort of wants to use, and where everyone can sort of fit in and contribute. Obviously, we've all got different skill sets and backgrounds, so yeah.
Okay,
I think we should be able to sort something out.
Cool. Okay, how about you, Kosla? What you got? Needs and collaboration.
And I already love this group. I'm willing to collaborate with anyone from this group already. This group is amazing. Plus, like I said before, my needs will be mainly like developers right now, as of right now, because working on MyEtherWallet stuff, and then we don't have any Go developers per se, so except me, and that's why I need someone from someone who can help us from developing Golang, or someone who knows Golang, and that's my biggest need and concern as of right now. And like I feel like this group you put together, Graph, we already have, like, we can talk with each other, and when we hit a point where we don't know how to proceed to the next level, we can always go back and ask this group, and then be like, hey, like, how do I proceed, or what did you guys do, or like, what's the next level, or what's the next step, how should we improve? I think, like Ego mentioned, this is not, like everyone else mentioned, this is not a competition to get together and like build a product, or not a single product, even build multiple products together where it can help the community overall. Like, we are building the ecosystem, not just one mindset. So right now that's my need, and like the way of collaborating is that you already put that together, Griff. We can always go back and we can know how to community. The community is always there.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? What are your thoughts?
I think it's an interesting time right now. It amazes me that an open source block explorer with full capabilities hasn't been developed to this point. So I think a need right now is just somebody to take this and run with it and just complete the project. And I think just getting collaboration from the other teams that are really interested in it, and you know, just getting thoughts along the process from somebody who's really just going to go and take this is the key here. And I know for us, this is like my passion. This is what I do 24/7, 7 days a week. So we, like, for us as a team, we're going to get this done no matter what, with everything that the ecosystem needs. And collaboration wise, we want to hear like what we can do better, what we can, you know, include in this block explorer that can be used by everybody in the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jordy? You got
it. Well, I have various proposals. Some of them a little crazy, maybe at this stage, but I just want to throw them. The first is, for example, would it be possible to define standard interface between the backend and the front end, so that maybe some teams can concentrate more in the backend and they are pluggable with maybe other teams that are concentrating more in the front end? That's one of the things. The other thing is, can we standardize a little bit how smart contracts are verified? I know that right now, especially in new versions of smart contracts, I think they go to Swarm. I don't know if this is working or if this has ever worked, but you know, it's like, I don't like, for example, having many, as a developer, I don't like having many block explorers and having to verify that in all the block explorers right there. So having a way of automating this verification would be something that could be cool. Another thing is, for example, I know that you are using different databases, but can we define, is there possible to define maybe some, let's say, some easy exportable file so we can import this database from one, you know, from one database to the other, so that's all this synchronization and all that stuff gets much more easy. And say synchronization, backup, starting a new block explorer for a specific, so we can try to accelerate that. And I don't know if it's possible to unify or just define some standardized way of importing, exporting these databases. Well, that are some of the thoughts that comes to my mind when we are talking about collaboration.
Yeah, well, we're free to discuss. Does anyone want to address those points or any of them?
Yeah, so that's can I? We never discussed internally working with like external teams with existing products, but we thought about, okay, if we have this like Explorer, which we're working on right now, can we onboard more teams, and projects will be, you know, will have their own specific, right? So let's say in POA Network there is no uncles, right? But we have validators with known identity, and they're verifying pieces of their identity, and they will have some kind of ERC-780 token, some attestations, which will be a part of each mining reward for each block, right? So this is specific to our sidechain, and but we don't have uncles, right? So we don't have this. We don't need to present this in UI, and we thought about how can we have this idea in mind that we can have specific features for specific sidechains. So we're thinking about this. Also, we understand that people will host different their own versions of Explorer which we're building, and they will have data which is beneficial to share between these instances. Let's say if someone verify smart contract on Ubiq and after deployed to POA, if we share this verified information before on, let's say, a regular basis, we can automatically verify it on POA network, right? And it makes sense with foundation network and test nets right now, but when we can have this shared database of verified smart contracts between sidechains and forks private networks, we can make this experience for developers more smooth. So that's why we're thinking about exportable data. So in our stack, we're using Postgres, and Postgres is a natural database choice for Elixir, and they're working together very nicely. I don't see how we can make it exportable and importable with different database structures. So we probably will need to define one database stack. Let's say everyone is working on Postgres or everyone's working on RethinkDB. I'm not sure about RethinkDB. I heard some news about acquisition of open source team by Stripe. So it's supported by someone, but not by founders of this project. Well, and Postgres is a good choice if we can consider Postgres for. So basically, Jordi, all your suggestions, we're thinking about them, but we need to think more because now project became with more broad because we have multiple teams with existing stacks, right? So we need to think. If we need to select one stack, and we can split tasks inside the stack, and this will be a decision for some people should they consider to move into one stack or support their projects. I can
I want to say that personally, I appreciate redundancy, and I don't think we should have more than two. But I think it's important to have two different projects working at it together, with different stacks and different things. If somebody really likes Vue and one database structure, they can work on that on this open source block explorer, and if they like the other structure and stack, they can work on that one. And everyone has a home, and we can learn from each other and drive each other forward. That's my own opinion, but I don't know. What do you think, Kosala?
Bringing standards, that's actually a good point, Jody. But the problem, just like Igor mentioned, like the either we have to define the structure from the beginning, we have to put it together on a document. This is how you save the data. This is how you export the data. I don't think using separate database structures will be a problem as long as we can have another a script or somewhere or program that can serialize the data that we want it to serialize and then export it, and then the new database, whoever the Postgres or even RethinkDB can have another script that exports the data to RethinkDB or PostgresDB or MongoDB. And it all comes down to are we going to set up the standards now, or are we going to wait until we finish have two working prototypes or two working explorers out there that then we start to do our standardization. So I think it's better to do it now if we are going for it, rather than doing it later on. The other thing that I wanted to discuss was how can we
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I don't know why I did that. That was completely unintentional. So yeah, like what's the next point? Like how can we collaborate on like these specific like standards? Like where should we do that? Where should we talk about it? Things like that. If we are going for standards, then that's something we definitely have to do it now. That's my opinion. And later on we can figure out, like who's going to implement it, who's not going to implement it, and how we can export and import the data.
Yeah, having a good place to talk about standards. I mean, does the Telegram group work for that? Probably not. Maybe a GitHub would be better.
Yeah, maybe like way to serialize the data and like, because I understand we use different ways of displaying the data, but at least the core data, like like all the transactions, internal transactions, like token informations and like that kind of data, if we can at least figure out a standard to export that data and import that data from one database to another, that'll be a good starting point.
Aldo?
For me, a way of showing that data is just following the RPC model as an API. I mean, where, for example, the front end can do a request. And for example, with the RPC, we have the ATH / whatever method name. So we can create another, for example, for extension or whatever we decide, which do another thing. For example, retrieving the most important blocks or the most important contracts or whatever. So for me, I think that the output should be, and the query should be JSON RPC, I think.
Andrew, you look unmuted for a second. Did you have some comments?
No, I was just in agreement with Kasala that I think it'd be a great idea now to talk about it. If this is going to happen, it would have to happen now. Just because, like for us, we're so far into our development that it'd be very difficult to reverse months of work to go back and redesign everything. So, I mean, I'd be willing to, we can talk offline and see where we can go with some type of way to export and import and figure this out.
Sorry.
Something else we're thinking about as well, if we're talking about standards, is a standard API for services to fetch data from. Instead of having different APIs, and they can implement one API and interact with any of the Explorer instances.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That way we can like go across block explorers and expect the exact same results. For example, if you're getting transactions from a certain account, then we should have one like standard API call that says, hey, get transactions, and then you put the account information, and then that'll send you all the transactions for that account. Or you can listen, like if you're doing WebSockets or something, you can listen to a specific account where it'll like constantly, it's like an event. Whenever there's a new transaction comes in, like the WebSocket will update and then send the event out. But yeah, definitely I agree with you.
I also think that we should first prioritize the information that's normally closed source, such as smart contracts. If we can share this data, which is most important, because we have Web3, which does a great job at being able to fetch transactions and blocks and just the normal information, but it's the closed source information that's so vital to put in an API format, in my opinion.
Sorry, I was referring to like, the past transactions, not the transaction data. Like for example, if you go to an account address and if you want to see all the past transactions, then that kind of data. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm following you now. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. I understand.
Griff, you're mute.
Griff is muted now.
Oops. Any other questions while we all have each other on the phone before we end this bad boy?
For me, is should we create? I mean, in the Telegram group is a good way of keeping us well informed about everything. But I think we should create a doc or a GitHub repo. I don't know, to write things down and to vote or to discuss more openly, I guess. Because in Telegram, if you receive 200 messages, probably you are not going to read.
Yeah. What do you guys use as a collaboration tool? Like as far as Slack, Riot, Rocket Chat, Discord? I know Ubiq uses Discord. Giveth uses Riot. What else do you guys use?
We use Slack primarily.
Yeah, same here. Slack and Telegram as well.
Slack
and GitHub.
Yeah. GitHub.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, GitHub for this kind of project, I feel like is the best. Has anyone ever used? Does anyone have any ideas on how to make GitHub work for this task?
Like ERC something, like proposals. Yeah, we can put a proposal about data export or supported API and just collaborate there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will create a proposals repository where we create several proposals for several different tasks, and in there we can discuss what is better or which is the most important one.
So sort of like the issues in our Ethereum or any of these like EIP type, ERC type situations.
Yeah, as long as we don't have so many people speaking, I mean, with so many comments, I think that is bearable.
Yeah, we can create an ERC about data export format and in Ethereum repository. Why not? Right? And we can get more people talking about this. So let's just jump into Ethereum ERC repository and create an issue about one of discussed topic, specification of API or specification of or database export. Let's start from this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just hijacking Ethereum's. And maybe we'll get some extra attention on this issue from other collaborators. I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Also, there is a forum, Ethereum research, and we can start a thread there or subcategory on Ethereum research. Because it will be not fair to create in one of project repositories this type, because it will get something from other projects. So we need a neutral place, and hijacking into Ethereum ERC repository is good. And also let's think about asking Foundation to create a subcategory on Ethereum research where we can post information about research about explorers.
Yeah.
Can you do you want to do this?
Yeah, I think Aldo and I can talk about this. Aldo happens to be in Barcelona with me over here, so it'll be easy to collaborate with him. And then I guess the next big thing is, how often do you guys want to do these meets? Every 2 weeks? Every week?
Not every week. Like every 2 weeks. Not every week now. Maybe later.
Yeah.
Now it's
so once every 2 weeks. What do you guys think?
For me, works.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I hear mostly consensus. Oh yeah, look at the thumbs. Oh wow, unanimous. Amazing. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, consensus is usually harder to reach than that.
And we don't need BFT because we don't have adversaries here, right? So
isn't that easy? Well, hopefully we can get. I have a feeling that there are other projects working on open source block explorers. I know RSK is doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Ether Classic guys that are out there working on this. So I'm at least going to reach out to more teams and see if they want to be a part of this discussion. And I guess we'll stay with the Telegram group for most coordination, and I'll publish all these. If you guys want any more links published in this video, make sure to put it on the document. But other than that, I think we can just close it out. Let's just have one round of like close out. So just say thank you or whatever. So thank you guys. Aldo?
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Andrew?
Thank you guys. Looking forward to sharing our progress for our next call.
Igor?
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Jordy?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure.
Kosala?
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Luke?
Thanks, guys. It's good meeting you all, and yeah, looking forward to collaborating.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.